Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to a very special evening. It's a Monday, and you know what that means. It's UK Armed Forces ACC time, and my name is Ben Sapsford. Unfortunately, it is just me this evening. Nathan, who would have joined me tonight, is actually over on the other side of the world, supporting the Esports World Cup. So, good luck to you, mate. Hope it's all good and fun and games down there. Of course, let me know how it goes, and I'm totally not jealous. But we have got ourselves a pretty raucous round of racing tonight here regardless, folks, and we've got a lot to look forward to. First, the track, Barcelona. You know it. You either love it or hate it. It's a good mix of low, medium, high-speed corners. It's a very balanced track. If I had to describe it in a sentence, it would probably be balanced. There is no outright key favourer, whether it's handling or power. This track really does have it all. It's got a couple of straights, it's got some really sort of interesting complexes that drivers have to navigate, and we have, of course, the standings, which is also something that we need to take careful consideration of. Key thing here is the fact that if we start from the bottom, there's some familiar faces. If we go a little bit further up, though, we can see towards the middle of things. We've had a couple of change-arounds. We've had a couple of changes around the order, but the big thing here is at the top. Wrenchy is leading, and we do not have Vernon Higgs racing tonight. So this theoretically means that Wrench has now sealed the championship through his opponent's absence, and I know this is a bit of a disappointment to himself. He did make it very clear to me that he wanted to fight it out on track to the bitter end. But unfortunately, we are not going to see Vernon Higgs. And that is going to mean that Wrench is going to seal his championship tonight. And that is still going to be giving plenty of chance for the likes of Simpson to get involved, for Glimbury, Tyrone, who is now back on track. Back on track tonight, folks. He is going to have a lot to prove as well, and we are going to see ourselves some fireworks as we are now jumping our way into the track. Let's stick with our racers, and let's start with the one, the only, the Dingo. Mr. Dingo is going to be our first target and first driver out on track to start qualifying here, and would you look at that? It is sopping wet out there. Now, I don't think we've actually seen a proper wet race in this season. I don't think we've actually seen one, not to this extent where you start right out the gate in the wet, that's for sure. The curiosity for me is how the drivers are going to be able to adjust. A lot of drivers practice solely in the dry. You need to keep your composure. You need to keep your throttle a lot less aggressive than you otherwise would in the dry. So, timing board clear. 18 cars out on track today. Very good turnout, things considered. Now, following our way through as Dingo going a little bit wide as he enters off into Sector 2 and then eventually Sector 3. See if we can keep a little bit of speed up here. You are going to be suffering in mechanical grip, but the aero can take you a good chunk of the way. Need a bit of faith in the car without being overzealous. There he goes. Number 938 down that hairpin at the end of the back straight. Now it's a multiple corner complex. It is the variant with the chicane here in ACC. You don't get any of that high speed double right-hander nonsense that you see in other series. Oh, I say nonsense. I personally prefer it. Let me know what you prefer. What variant do you prefer? Do you like the one with or without the chicane? But Dingo is going to be our initial benchmark. Coming up to the line, and it is going to be a 1 minute 54.2. Will we see any challenges from the rest of the field? Here's Matt Steele making his way down. Liam Davis getting a 51, but an invalid 51. No time being set. Dingo already on the hard charge Craig Fitton getting a 158 on his installation. Is going to be Matt Steele, 53.775. Now making his way through as many more cars are going to head their way down. Tyrone going to light the timing boards up with a 51.190. Unfortunately, that's Craig Lure going a little bit too hot there, but who is going to be with him? That's going to be James Sinclair in the old Vantage. You don't really get to see that anymore. That's the old classic. I think it's the V12. Raucous noise this thing makes. 54.9. Was not expecting to see this machinery out on track. We're going to see a few more cars making their way through. Ryan Worley got a 51.7. 53.2 coming from Stevie Mack. Here's Jack Lemon up to the line here. What's he going to get? It's a 51.752. Just a quarter of a tenth away from Worley in second place. Here's Jack Simpson, though. The Quali Rocket, the Trofeo Master, 50.552. He is setting that timing board ablaze once more. Is there going to be any kind of challenge from the rest of the field? We are 5 minutes into qualifying and an initial gauntlet has been laid. A few more drivers now making their way. Mark Gladwell just crossing the line. Here comes Connor Palmer into 8th place, 54.405, and with a very striking Ferrari livery, might I say. Let's say Jeff's Bagel Run on the side. I'm all for it. Liam Davis having another go. We'll see, is he going to be valid this time? Yes, he is, and in style. 0.570 here. Really looking good. Really looking good indeed. Who is going to be up? Who is going to be down? Simpson looks like he's going to be a driver to watch here as we go through this next set of runs. 56.2 coming in from David Brown, so he's going to be joining 11th out of 18th. 7 cars yet to set a time that is valid on the boards. Renchi, in fact, not setting a time at all just yet. Understand why it was installed to slow the bikes down over the Moto2 rider death. No, 100% get you on the safety front. A necessary change in response to that incident. Any loss of life in motorsport is both a brutal wake-up call and also a call to action to make sure that it never happens again. So I completely understand the safety ramifications of having that chicane. I'd say never take away from that. Very good and valid point being brought up there. Simpson, he's not going to be content with having Davis on his tail. He's going to get another half second. Sectors 2 and 3 are his to dominate as he barely scratches at the edge of a 149. 5 cars still yet to set a time. Simon Kelly just came through with a 1 minute 58. There's Peter Davidson as well, just coming through 4th position, 51.572. Few more improvements coming throughout the field. Renchi finally getting a time on the board, and it's a 50.870, 3 tenths exactly behind Liam Davis as Connor Palmer gets a bit of an installation lap going. Liam Davis is going to go wide and into the wall on the final corner. I think just trying to push his luck, going with a bit too much speed to start his next set. Sadly did not pan out for him. A few more drivers with some improvements. David Brown coming into the line. Big improvement on the table. Nearly 2.5 seconds coming through up to the line. Is it going to be enough for position? 53.7. That's good enough for P10. Although he's going to be immediately usurped by Matt Steele, who comes across the line with a 52.875, pushes him back down into 11th, and oh, that could have gone dangerously, as that is Ryan Worley, the Colonel Machines himself, the Colonel Cruiser, having to take evasive action, barely avoiding the other Ferrari there. That's going to be Craig Lure, 52.345, that's 8th position for himself there. And with 15 minutes left to go in qualifying, there's still plenty out on the table. This is going to be Simon Kelly. Noticeably, he's switched out from his sort of Harlequin-style livery. I'm not sure if there is a bug or an issue, but we tend to see a matte black-only car if there is some kind of vinyl problem, or if there's a livery problem. Hopefully, it gets resolved fairly soon. We will see about jumping in and out of the game state once more in between qualifying and the race. See if there is a fix, should that be an issue. Once again, the livery game is on point out on track tonight. I've really gotten used to Simpson's light blue Lamborghini. Huracan Super Trofeo, I believe. Absolute rocket ship of a machine. It's good to see the chrome pink of Tyrone returning to the course, although he has gone a little bit too deep out of the first sector. But it's good to see him back. Always a welcome sight to have our drivers return after a prolonged absence, and Tyrone is no different. We haven't seen him for a few races, so this is his chance to stay fighting within those standings. We're on board Peter Davidson right now. Just trying to keep it together. Unfortunately goes too hot, too deep into the second sector chicane. Now head up to the hill. And then back straight before the hairpin. Craig Luer coming up to the line is riding the coattails of it looks like Dingo. And coming up behind him, he is going to get a few tenths improvement, although not enough to challenge on Jack Lemon's position. 3 cars yet to time. Craig Fitton, Chris Diamond, and James Sinclair. You see, Diamond is going to be going for a run now, so watch this space. However, Fitton, I'm a little bit surprised to not see him up on the board in this way. James Sinclair was running the classic Aston. A key to my heart, but not a key to the fastest time. At least doesn't look like it right now. Here comes Renchi, standing champion. Making his way down through the final right-hander. Will there be any moves made? Not just yet, but I think this is his setup lap for what could eventually become a podium-sitting run. He's going to go 2 wheels onto the grass. He's playing it very risky there. Surely he's going to get those tyres a little bit dirty if he's not careful. Just mind your boundaries. Don't be overzealous. The wet is a punishing mistress. If you cannot tame it, you will be sorry. See Wrench making his way through into the second sector in full now. Timing is looking good for him. As with many tracks, but particularly here in Barcelona where you have so much undulation. Cambers left and right, up and down verticality. It's no extreme compared to the likes of Zandvoort, but when you look at it in the wet weather, it transforms into a different beast. Coming down heavy onto the brakes, all the way down to the first gears. They barely scraping the 60 km/h mark. Really has to crawl that thing down. Hey, Pete Davidson slightly up ahead, but half a second up on his previous, so could be within a chance of getting into the hallowed 150s. Only 4 drivers have gone into there so far. Can he be the 5th? That's going to be a Renchi going invalid. And Davidson, 51 exactly. I can't believe it. Is literally going to be holding the doorstop in the way through the arch, but he's not going to enter. 51.000. You cannot get more precise than that. I don't even know what to say. Ridiculous stuff there. Gladwell, unfortunately, was up on his previous, but overcooked it in the final chicane. He's going to lose any and all advantage that he may have accrued over that time. Sad times for him there. But we'll see if he can give it another go. I always like to see drivers pushing the Lexus, because the Lexus isn't exactly the newest of machinery in this class. But it still packs a punch, and of course balance of performance being a factor means that it remains competitively viable. It's a bit of a Brutus. It's a bit of a driving experience that is more akin to a Bronco than a than a finely balanced racing machine, because you have got that roaring V8 under there, similar to other cars, but it is very much a saloon muscle type in every sense of the word. And a lot of these cars have their unique defining characteristics. I mean, the Porsche, for example, it can take a little bit of slip angle, but it also has a very steep drop-off. So it's a car with a high skill ceiling if you can master it, and a car that is very punishing in the wet if you cannot tame it properly. The Ferrari is a solid all-rounder, good rotation. It can be beaten on some acceleration and top end. The reason it's such a popular pick, that 296 has certainly earned its racing stripes. Liam Davis. Oh no, Davis! He just overcooks it into the chicane. He was almost a half a second up. That could have been putting him into second, as Tyrone has got a .320 ahead of him. Chris Diamond, meanwhile. It's like we have a 19th joiner as well, somewhat snuck under my radar. There's Glyn Bury, making a welcomed appearance onto the track. Certainly knowing how to bring a show. Diamond, unfortunately, going too deep into the final chicane, falling into the trap that so many before him have done too. And now all is quiet. We're going to turn on the deltas just so you can see a live perspective of exactly where our eyes are training. As many head into the pits, many are going to consider coming back out again in a moment, but a lot of drivers have potentially hit their ceiling. Rather than exhaust extra effort, many sometimes just opt to stay in the pits until the quali session is over and the race is springing in full. We'll see a couple more cars coming through. Craig Fitton finally putting a time on the board, and it's a 53.4. That's going to be enough for 12th place from him here. Tyrone is on a run, but you can see massively down, about a second, as everyone is just trying to grapple and wrangle with the wet conditions. There's going to be David Brown just peeling off to the side. You can see he made a bit of a mistake, going too hot in out of the hairpin. Simon Kelly trying to get some improvements. 58.0 is going to mean that he needs at least 2 seconds of improvement to get to proximity of the next driver. But when it comes to a wet weather race, qualifying is not the be-all and end-all. There's a lot of its weight diminished, purely on the basis that you will have a lot of squabbles and you will have drivers trying to extract the optimal, but sometimes making callous mistakes. It's more likely to happen, so qualifying is not as weighty as one might think it is in the wet weather. You can see in the foreground, I believe that's Liam Davis, and that is Ryan Worley as well. But just behind the number 91, that is going to be Jack Lemon. See both, although Worley has had an issue, he has returned to the pit lane. Seems like it had a classic spin. Fate all too common. Particularly around this sector of the track, this seems to be the hardest one to get right. It is fairly low speed, you have to be very delicate with the throttle. I'm not surprised that drivers are wobbling this one in particular. Up to the line now though. Fitton is going to teeter on the edge, and he's just down in that third sector. No improvement from him today. Most in the pits. 6 minutes and 15 seconds to go. Overall, looking at some of the other runners, Simpson is going to be trying to push now. Let's stick on board with him, as things are going to get spicy from him. Number 29, Lamborghini, really tearing a strip out of the races in the second half of the season. He has been nigh unstoppable. Found his mojo going into the second half of the season. Just looks like a speeding bullet. It is honestly scary how much he is able to wrangle and wrestle that car into shape. See how these racers handle themselves. Who is gonna be a driver to take it all? Session is going to be coming to a close fairly soon. So all eyes are firmly trained on these last few qualifiers. Only Bury is left to get a time on the boards here, as we have seen everyone from Palmer to Diamond to Dingo to Tyrone to Simpson all making their way through. See Jack Simpson though coming up to the line. Will there be an improvement? It's an exact 10th down. Slightly off on all sectors. Unfortunately, no improvement from him just yet. We're going to jump over to Simon Kelly. He's on the back of the other Bentley of Tyrone right now. See what these drivers make of it. Gonna see Kelly unfortunately bow out and head into the pits here. Final couple of minutes. We'll take stock of all our drivers at that point when things are settled. Let's say mistakes are starting to creep in. There's Stevie Mack going into the gravel at the end of Sector 1. There's Craig Fitton coming up to the hairpin. Meanwhile, slowly trying to get his car rotated. But you can see in the background as well, there is Jack Simpson, who is on a run. He is really running on the ragged edge of performance right now. Has to keep his car as balanced as physically possible. Really is looking like a scary ordeal. It looks like we had a brief packet issue. Apologies for that. But here we are coming up to the line. It's Craig Fitton, 52.6. Really good stuff. And Simpson just behind him has got into the hallowed 49s. 49.880. Mic drop. Car pitted. Pole all but secured. What a run. Smashing that final sector, even with a deficit in sectors 1 and 2. I think a 49.7 or even 0.6 is theoretically on the cards, but what a showing from the Lamborghini there. I don't know if anyone is going to be able to size up to that. So, final 90 seconds. All eyes are on, well, anyone, really. Unfortunately, Connor Palmer dropping down on the time. Steele Mack teetering on the edge. But it looks like everyone is just pushing the car too hard at this point and they're making callous mistakes. Is Liam Davis. We stuck on board with him for a little bit now. Let's see if he's able to chain anything together as the last viable attempt, or second to last viable attempt mainly. The big thing here is you've got to be careful of those curbs in the wet. They basically turn into oil slick patches. But that is going to be Liam Davis showcasing his consistency. He's within half a tenth of a second of his best time. His consistency certainly on display. We'll see here, Stevie Mac bringing it all together. Last chance here, and he's gonna get something out of it. Into the top 10, 52.272. Very nice. Qualifying officially at a close now, so these last runs are for all the marbles. 5 drivers getting into the 50s, 1 driver getting even into the 49s after that. What a qualifying this has been. Davidson up to line, 0.385. He's going to leapfrog Davis and Wrench. In the last moments, Tyrone is going to be secured with a 0.115 from his last lap. And then final couple of cars, final couple of runners now. This is Stevie Mac going one more time. But others up to the line. Glimbury is going to get a time on the boards. And it was a couple of laps prior, but a 51.065. That's good enough for 6th as he heads into the pits. It's going to be Liam Davis having a bit of an out and going into the pit lane here. As I say, Wrenchy is going to retire his car into the pits as well. Looks like he has... Actually, no. It looks like there is a minor hiccup with the timing. It's showing as invalid, but that might not be the case. Up to the line now, it is a 50.520. My mistake on the timing board, but what a showing. It's going to be Fitton coming through and then Stevie Mac invalidating. So that is game on, folks. Jack Simpson is your qualifying maestro and is going to be your lead car heading into the session. Tyrone is going to be running up alongside him in row 1, and then row 2 is going to be Peter Davidson along with David Wrench. Row 3 is going to be Liam Davis, followed closely by Glimbury and the Mercedes AMG, and then Jack Lemon alongside Ryan Worley, the Colonel Cruiser, as we are going to lovingly dub it from here on out. 9th and 10th to close off the top is going to be Craig Lure and Stevie Mac, and then your next 9 drivers, it's going to be Craig Fitton, it's going to be Dingo, one of the crowd favourites, of course, to say we'll get that Dingo love in the chat for you there. Make yourselves known. Matt Steele is going to be P13 with David Brown in the BMW alongside. And then it's final 5. It's Mark Gladwell in the Lexus, Connor Palmer in the Ferrari, James Sinclair in the classic Aston Martin, and then Chris Diamond in the New Age Vantage alongside Simon Kelly to finish in the Bentley. It's going to be a pretty exciting race here today, folks. Now, in the wet, these cars can be a royal handful. So, the thing that you have to be acutely aware of is exactly how your car is going to behave under certain conditions. Keynotes, be careful of the throttle, keep your steering smooth and consistent, do not jerk the steering, you will have a bad time. And you will, of course, have to be extra mindful of your other drivers on the track, because everyone is going to be trying to awkwardly balance the car and keep themselves afloat. It's not easy going in these conditions, and so you need to be very mindful of who you are around and who you are racing with. But things are about to get underway here, folks. It is a 60-minute time down, 50-minute pit window, 5 minutes either side of your race start and finish. Let's see who we have in this run and who we should be watching out for here. Let's see who we have. Who we're going to watch out for. Let us know in the chat as well who you want to see come out on top. But the track is hopping wet, but it's hot, and it's about to get even hotter. Penultimate round of the season is underway, and already Jack Simpson is going to try and get a bit of an escape. It is chaos further down in the order, but up towards the top, it's going to be a cavalcade of racing machines as they now head into the first corner. Tyrone immediately going to press on the aggression. Here comes Wrench alongside as well, going to the outer of turn 2. Wrench with a beautifully executed overtake to start things off here at the sharp end of the field. Meanwhile, Sin into the mid-pack. There's going to be contact. There's Sinclair and Stevie Mac sliding through turn 3, coming together. Dingo having to go narrow to avoid, but is going to still squeeze him out to the edge. The Aston is regaining his composure in P13, but there is going to be chaos further up as well. That's Jack Lemmon. That's Craig Fitton. They're all in major trouble as there is chaos erupting up and down the field. Nobody is safe here as things are trying to reach a form of equilibrium at the top. Here comes Liam Davis. Peter Davidson doesn't know what hit him as he's gone through and taken the move into the chicane of Sector 2. Now that sloping right-hander heading into the back straight here, all trying to gain a bit of composure. Simpson trying to gain a gap as well. You can see him just out ahead and he's already peeling about a second. Couple of contact warnings that we will of course review in due time, but Liam Davis is under major pressure from Davidson. He's not going to be given an easy time. You can see Davidson getting some good runs, but just not having the ability to rotate the car and get himself into fighting position. Davis trying his best to defend, but it's not quite happening yet. Stevie Mac, having recovered into P16 at the very least, has something here. I can't say the same for some of the others. Say Chris Diamond, and ooh, he's gone off into the inner wall and is going to be limping his car around that chicane. Barely keeping it together on the front end. It looks like that thing is about to fall apart. There's going to be a drag race meanwhile with Lemon trying to regain his honour. And David Brown is Peter Davidson, though. He's going to go off into the first corner. He's taking it way too hot. You see just in the background as well, Lemon going a little bit deep, but still holding his own. Fitton is going to be waiting in the wings further up ahead to try and chase on Matt Steele. But David Brown is on the inside of turn 3, all chasing each other for some space. Lemon coming out on top. Stevie Mac also getting involved with the BMW. Bury is going to have a contact warning between himself and Tyrone, so not exactly sure what happened there. Whoa, okay. That was interesting. I don't even know what to say to that. As we have a major issue. Bury is off the side of the track. I think another technical issue has plagued the man. And all of a sudden, things have gone from bad to worse for him. Davidson on the back of Sinclair. Now trying to get past the Aston Martin. Curiously, at the front end of things, Simpson is gained a second to wrench, and Tyrone is 1.5 seconds behind the McLaren. Liam Davis is chasing down, but he has still got a 1.5 seconds of his own to try and make up. Eyes on Davidson, though, as Sinclair is waiting in his crosshairs. Dingo could be going for something as well on Craig. But let's see how it goes here. Very sharp and efficient overtake coming in from Davidson on the Aston. Very well executed. Going to see a couple of yellows also coming out. There's Craig Fitton and Mark Gladwell, it looks like. Gladwell has had an issue of his own, as the session is starting to reach a point of stability. We will soon have, of course, the pit window being open. That does give the chance. But we have seen some unlikely surges throughout all of this. I mean, let's look at P5 right now. Ryan Worley in the Colonel Cruiser is now into P5. He started himself up down in P8. Dingo as well started himself down in P12. And James Sinclair into P17, now P9. So massive gains for many. Really big stuff. Looks like Bury's managed to get his situation under control, however. He is going to try and get his race back under control. E13 now. I'm not sure what happened earlier. I know that he has been plagued by technical issues throughout the season. Many a finish has been marred by problems. Oh, here we go. It's Chris Diamond recovering his car. Simon Kelly has taken a pit stop already. What the thought process is behind that. Wonder if there's a particular motive. See Bury as well. Going for a drag race on Stevie Mac now. It's hunting for it. Sneak into the left, to the right. Sniffing out any kind of opportunity that he can muster. Bury will be cautiously monitoring his opponent's moves, looking for any window that he can get. See, coming up very close to the back of that McLaren. He's going to tuck it in narrow. He's going to have a chance here. He just needs to get on that power. Tries to sweep his way to the outside. Let's take a quick look. Let's take stock of our situation. Lemon going in for an attack on Matt Steele. He's going to be fairly successful, but a little bit too deep onto the hairpin. That is going to be very detrimental, though quickly recovered once again by the side of Matt Steele heading into the third sector. Meanwhile, further up, Davidson is on to the back of Dingo, who just got himself up into P7 and is now on the hunt once again. Dingo really a formidable opponent, is going to be giving him everything in terms of the defense. He's going to give him the full run around, you know that much. Tyrone, meanwhile, on the back of Liam Davis, now into fourth from a second start, so things could be better for him. But he still remains calm, remains resolute. Last thing I want to be doing in Tyrone's position is panicking or worrying at all. The session is young. There is plenty of time. Although there has been an issue as Dingo has dropped several seconds all of a sudden. I think he went slightly off track. There seemed to have been some kind of issue. But hopefully he'll be able to resolve. Steele getting overtaken by Bury. Head out of turn 3 and into the next sector of the course. Also Jack Lemon, who is just up ahead right now. Looks like a lot of the action tends to be in this mid-pack. Davidson having a displaced of Dingo moments ago, now making a shot at P6. He's going to go to the inside of Lua. Really well executed hairpin there. Masterwork of an overtake coming in. Oh, but what's this? Something's happened to Renchi. He's spun the car. Bit of lift-off oversteer coming into the chicane. A difficult but common reality. Bit of a lift-off oversteer can happen to anyone around here. Meanwhile, heading into said chicane as well, Jack Lemon just being overtaken by Glenn Bury, as he really is siphoning his way up the field and showing no mercy in his hunt. Here's going to be James Sinclair, as David Brown has made a mistake and is stationary currently on the course. He has now recovered. But going down the start-finish straight one more time as we are into the 5th lap. There's going to be Glenn. He is committed to that overtake and he just gets it round, confirms it through turn 1 and 2, and now turn 3 going nice and tight to the apex there where Sinclair washes wide. Half a second cleared, but now 4.5 stands between him and Dingo. Liam Davis closing into the back of Tyrone, who has recovered now to second, followed Wrenchy's mistake. Davis hasn't been overtaken by the Bentley, but I don't think he is going to be letting him go so easily. Sinclair dropping down another couple of positions as there has been a issue for him. He's going to drop to Lemon, Steel and Mac. As Davis now going for the attack, going into that final sector, coming out of the hairpin. He's going to wash a little bit wide. The Bentley has command of the next couple of apexes. He needs to get this perfect run if he wants any chance at attacking on the position. Track still sopping wet, mind you, so it's not like he can quickly switch back on him, and he is going to have to concede as the track tightens up in its final corners. So Davis putting up a good fight. Stevie Mac coming up to the back of Steel. That will be a driver we watch out to. I hear a couple of people asking who the Colonel is in chat, and a little bit too hot there for Stevie. Who the Colonel is? The Colonel is Mr. Brian Worley. Now, Worley has aptly earned the name for his, shall we say, inspired livery. The Colonel Cruiser, the number 30, making his way, currently P5. And certainly owning his stripes, herbs and spices. So checking in around the field. Dingo has made the choice to go early into the pits. Wonder if he's going to try and go for a longer stint. The track shows no signs of any weather change at this point. So there may be a chance for a weather change, but not one that is happening yet. Yeah, you would think that given the downpour, Royal Navy cars will be now lapping at least a half a second faster. We'll have yet to see if that theory is to be proven. We'll see a couple of trades happening around the course. Connor Palmer and David Brown. Close proximity right here. Currently P14 and P15. Eyes back up to the top though. Davis is not letting go of that P3. And he's certainly not going to be giving up P2 without a fight. Wrench is a whole 5 seconds away, so he has nothing to worry about on the defensive. It's all about what kind of pressure he can exact on that Bentley up ahead of him. Meanwhile, when you look from Tyrone's perspective, he's regained his initial position. He's back to status quo, but he's not out of the woods. He has still got a lot that needs to be done if he wants to keep that P2. Davis is not going to let him go on this. So he best hope that Davis either makes a mistake or he can find it in him to drive like his championship depends on it. Davis is going to be so close to an opportunity here. It's just not quite happening for him yet. Meanwhile, back in Mac, Stevie onto the back of Steel. Is within a couple of tenths, but oh no, just a bit of oversteer. Heading down that hill and down the left. He's going to drop about a second in time. Going to see Lemon, meanwhile, getting a bit of a warning. Looks like he made contact with another car. Not sure who that other car was. Seems to indicate it was Simon Kelly. Liam Davis has had a major issue. Is he beached on the curbs? It looks like he might be. He's barely going to get the car back under control in P6. Let's see exactly what happened here. So, we're going to jump on board with the helicopter. Remember, this is a replay of exactly what happened between Davis and potentially Tyrone. So, Davis on the chase, heading into the final sector. Oh, no, you can see he's sliding off there. Tries to regain control, slapping into the gravel, and then just trying to re-emerge onto the track. Overcooks it. and then is going to retire his car into the pits. Hopefully we see him back out. Hopefully see him back out in a moment. But there is issues afoot. Unfortunately, Dingo has just emerged from the pits a second time, and that is because he had a drive-through penalty administered. So that is going to be an issue that he's now going to have to carry with him to the end of the race. Back on the other side of things is Ryan Worley. He was up into P4, but looks like a mistake was made as he's now a couple of seconds away. Yeah, resigning himself to P5 for now. We are going to see Liam Davis making his way out of the pits, as well as Simon Kelly going in for a second stop, it looks like. Some kind of issue, maybe? Dingo down in P17. It looks like there is going to be Chris Diamond making his way actually up further. The timing board can sometimes get a little bit confused, but we'll do our best to keep you involved with the action. I hope Steelers rust free with all this rain. Okay, you know what? That got me. That shouldn't have got me as good as it did, but it did. So, taking stock of our current scenario, Simpson... Jeez, where do I begin with Simpson? 5.3 seconds is where I begin. And then 12.4 seconds is where Tyrone begins to wrench. The top three has made a massive gap at this point. Davidson out of the picture. A couple of other competitors who have tried and failed to assert a challenge. Davis down in P16. We're now looking at the top three, unless something major happens, potentially running with this one to the end. We have got potential for some upsets, but at this point in time, it wouldn't be remiss to say that these top three could run off with it. But Davidson is going to challenge that status quo. He's right on the back of David Wrench. Certainly going to be putting up a fight. Now let's see if these two have the attack and defense chops. Oh, I can see Davidson sniffing out chances to go for apexes. He's going to be looking left, looking right. Any sign that he can get a run in, he's going to do it. It looks like we're going to have an issue as David Brown has called a local yellow flag. Looks like he is going to be off the track or has spun out and needing to recover. There's Davidson seeking for that chance. Get on that hunt. He's going to go narrow. He's going to really poke the nose in, try and break into the space of David Wrench here. He is going to have a switchback done on him, but he's not out of the woods yet. We have seen Simon Kelly be in the pits for an extended period of time now, so there is a high chance that either he's got some kind of terminal damage that has affected his car this much, or there is the potential that he is going to be staying in the pit lane till the end. Although saying that, looks like he's just come out. So, ignore previous. After much awaiting, he is going to be on and back in it. See what he has. Davidson still on the back of Ranch. We see Bury also on the back of Liwa. Don't know what it is with Bury. I feel like if he had a technically sound system, he'd be in the win. He would absolutely be in the win. If not, a championship fighter. There really is a lot of potential. Let's see what we have now. Back to P4. We will be seeing Davidson still on the back of David Wrench. And starting to get a little bit more desperate. You see a couple of later sends. You see a couple of bigger swings going at the black and gold McLaren. But Wrenchy refuses to budge. He's keeping a strong defense. He's not wavering to pressure. He's keeping his calm. So far, we have 1 stop from Liam Davis, 2 stops from Dingo, 1 for a drive-through, and 2 stops from Simon Kelly. 1 extended due to likely car damage. See what Davidson has in store though. Wrench still heavy in his crosshair. Just going to keep an eye on these two for now. We can also take a look at Mark Gladwell as he's coming up to Connor Palmer. See how these two fare, but in a minute. We have Worley heading into the pits now at the 37-minute mark. About 20 minutes into the race. See Gladwell trying to chase onto Palmer, but that Ferrari is looking planted. While Davidson's still chasing. Worley is going to be in the pits for a little bit here, so by metrics could be coming out around P14. Let's see what Davidson has in store now. So Worley did in fact run out. He needs another bucket before he can continue on his quest. So Worley is going to be coming out of the pits in just a moment here. He is going to be emerging out fairly soon, hopefully. He is going to get overtaken by a good chunk of the field. He's actually staying in there a bit longer than I expected. I would have thought he'd be out of there by now, considering pit stops have been taking around 60 seconds, give or take. So Worley is back on the track now in P16. And meanwhile, Davis is going to go on the hunt and on the attack. Through out turn 4 here, heading into the second sector. Gets a move executed on David Brown, who has had some consistency troubles. Goes immediately for another one. There's Gladwell, although a little bit too hot on this one. Gladwell is going to try and stick it alongside. Actually, he takes back. He goes behind. I think he understands the pace that Davis has at his disposal. He doesn't want to be taking that on, per se. So Gladwell in the rear view mirror. Davis hunting down on Connor Palmer. Really well executed pair of overtakes there. I am certainly impressed. check in with our favourite duo, our favourite fighting duo. For a moment at least, as Davidson is still on the back of Wrench, although has been getting closer and closer. Every single lap I check on them, it's a 10th closer, it's a 10th down, it's a move here, it's a move there. Seek and ye shall find. The question is he seeking hard enough? It's almost as if he's on a bungee line. Just as soon as you think he's getting too far away, he manages to reel himself back in. It's almost as if magnetized, as put in the chat. Role-playing a magnet. I think there's an apt description, although wrong time for the bungee sling as he goes too hot into the chicane. And he's going to drop any and all advantage that he had been building up to that point. A few laps of work gone in an instant. Here's going to be David Brown making his way around what looks to be Simon Kelly there. Yep. It's Gladwell and Palmer both are in the rear view. Interesting turn of events there. But Tyrone now heading into the pits as well. He has been in there for a little bit. We're going to see Gladwell getting a little bit desperate to try and displace a back marker. Remember, there is blue flag rules at play, so you do need to be mindful and considerate of the racers around you. Davidson, to his credit, has immediately peeled back half of the time that he lost to Wrench just a couple of laps ago, or just a couple of corners ago even. Tyrone is out of the pits now as James Sinclair is going to be the next one in. See, meanwhile, Jack Simpson with a 28.5 second lead to David Wrench, which is honestly terrifying. He's just finished the lap and he's on to lap 15. These guys are still making their way through the third sector. You see Davidson, fun fact, aptly called, Davidson is in fact a Navy driver. See, David Wrench is going to be heeding the warning and going into the pit lane. So rather than entertain a fight, he's going to be playing it tactically and going to aim to come out in a undercut strategy. Wrench and Bury both in the pits means that there will be some shakeups at the top end of things, but Bury, massive credit for being able to make up that much time. While, say, Simon Kelly having a bit of a struggle. The track is still pouring down with rain, so there is no chance of any kind of dry running anytime soon. And it's quite cold out there right now. The main thing here is, with the wet compound of tyres, it kind of negates that. So, if you're new to motorsport, of course, you have your slick compound of tyres designed to maximise your traction with the racetrack, but if you have a bit of water in the way, those things effectively become rubberized aquaplaning machines. You will not get any traction because water will get trapped between the tyre surface and your car. So this is where you get the wet weather tyres. They have the grooves, they displace the water, prevent you from aquaplaning at the expense of a slightly reduced contact patch. And because of the cold temperatures of the water coming down as rain, there is also going to be a much softer rubber used in these wet weather tyres. So you can still work them and still get them up to operating windows. So much being eyed up here. So Brown's car, you are quite right, has seen better days. Hopefully it's only cosmetic damage, but it does look like he has had a couple of scuffles. You can see Sinclair sniffing out a chance as Glyn Bury going for a well-executed switchback through the second sector here. Very smooth. Seeking any space that he can get. Looks like Simpson has just emerged from the pits to the leader under our noses, sneaking into the lane and coming out now in P4. The fact that he's come out in P4 is testament to how much of a lead he's been able to pull. They're checking in around. Connor Palmer could be on a chance with Gladwell here coming up. Oh, Palmer though going too deep, but oh, Gladwell also going way too hot here. Way too hot. Gladwell getting much worse off out of that one. Not looking too settled, too comfortable in that Lexus. I was really impressed with some of the drivers out here tonight. So still being able to navigate these kind of treacherous decisions or conditions, sorry. Worley making a very nice overtake on Connor Palmer. Smooth and well done, Worley. P11 here. Hey, Lewa. Oh no, Craig Lewa going off into and oh no, going into the path of Stevie Mack. That was dangerous to say the least. Jeez. Oh, I think my heart just skipped. Oh man, and Bury is off the track as well. Jeez, that chaotic first sector. No mercy. Bury got buried. Indeed, he did. Steele, Davidson, and Palmer all into the pit now, meaning that we have crossed over half the drivers. Now going in. Meanwhile, going down to things and say, as aptly called, Dingo has overtaken. Meanwhile, looks like something's with Matt Steele now coming out to the pits. Apologies folks, just trying to resolve something. And the background, we've had a couple of frame drops. I'm just seeing if there's anything that I can tweak internally to get things nice and smooth again. A couple of packet losses and a couple of hiccups that we're trying to resolve in the meantime. Going back to the track though, Diamond is looking a little bit worse for wear in his Vantage. And that is going to open the door nice and cleanly for Peter Davidson to slot his way through. Diamond has still yet to pit, along with Gladwell, Fitton, Mack and Lemon. So we're going to have to wait and see if there is any opportunity for them still. Meanwhile, Davis now out of the pits. Gladwell finally going in along with Diamond. Just leaving Fitton now as Mack and Lemon have both gone in. And finally going in. That means that now we're going to see an even playing field. Although David Brown has gone in again. Palmer is now making his way in once more. And oh, contact with Wrench as he heads into the pits as well simultaneously. Going to see a couple of openings and a couple of opportunities here as the number 100 car previously, that was Sinclair. He had a big old drive-through penalty that he had to have cleared off of him. Glad we got a minor sound issue. Oh, looks like it's just extremely quiet. So now, many drivers are now out or coming out soon of the pits and getting themselves back into fighting position. Tyrone is going to be 17.5 seconds away. Meanwhile, 41 seconds later, Ryan Worley is going to be in third place. Although, saying that, he's just taken a little bit of an off-track excursion, meaning that he's not going to be there for too much longer. Stevie Mack and Peter Davidson, looks like they have both seen better days. Do see someone going off the track. I think that was, yep, that was Simon Kelly. Kelly is not having the best of times. He's 16 laps in compared to the 20 of the leaders right now. We do see Liam Davis and Craig Fitton also having a bit of a combat moment. So Fitton is going to be on the hunt though. Despite his upset, is going to be giving it absolutely everything. Unfortunately, we have lost a couple of drivers, Bury being one of them. It's sad to say it, but we did have a couple of technical issues with him. ups and downs for many of the racers. We're in the final 20 minutes now, folks. Now, this means two things. In the driver's case, this means lock in your positions or forever hold your cars. And this means that final 15 minutes of the pit window is open. If you need to get into the pits, if you have any damage, this is your time to do it. Got a big chance ahead of you, but you cannot overplay your hand. I mean, I'm looking at Davison right now. He's 1.2 seconds away from Davis. Now, he could rein him in, but if he plays it too hard, then he will make a mistake. That's just going to get Craig Fitton on his case and potentially him out of the top 10. Needs to play smooth and needs to be consistent. That is going to be his undoing right here. But he can let the environment do the work for him. Look up ahead. Here's Liam Davis getting completely boxed in by Steele and Kelly. Steele, of course, being his primary target. Oh, Kelly with a massive kick on the rear axle. Major evasive action from Davidson and really well handled, actually. That could have very easily become a disaster. Amazing job keeping that under control. Here's Davis going to the inside for Matt Steele on his attack into turn 1. Meanwhile, there is going to be Peter Davidson as Kelly is going to continue to flop and flounder behind. Really is struggling with that car. Gladwell has been in the pits for an extended period of time in P17. So I do question if he's going to be returning to the track. Could be a scenario like we saw with Kelly. But there is going to be a big question mark surrounding the future of his race. Kelly going off into the gravel. Too many VR issues. Unfortunately, it does. I was wondering certainly if that was the case, mate. Really sad to hear it. Hopefully you get things a bit more stable technically ahead of the final round. Had to say. Although we were talking about you, because one thing that is abundantly clear is just how potent of a driver you are in the right environment. You were able to really push and give it 110%. The amount of time that you made up was certainly impressive, mate. So, head held high. Really impressive showing. And now making his way into the final round. Hoping to see you on track and that the stars align. Final phase of the session and of the championship as well. I say the speed interview, yes. The speedy pit lane interview. May you bury your opponents in... Jeez. I gotta say, the pun game is on point from the chat today. Really does liven things up. I see a couple of instances of drivers trying to keep the space, but not always having it their way. So Stevie Mac going a little bit too hard. See, in fact, Stevie is going to get very defensive as he makes his way down. Seeking that opportunity. Kelly is on the inside. Kelly just coming out from a third pit stop here. And in fact, Stevie is going to go slightly deep into turn one. Smoothly holding on as much as he can to position. You can also see in the back there is Jack Simpson, who's going to be making his way through the order. He's going to be very wary of Kelly, as that is a back marker. Oh, closing the door a little bit there. Sneaking his way, trying to get round. Oh no, Kelly is going completely into the gravel. Just, yeah, overcooking it. Going straight ahead. Gladwell, it's safe to say, has retired from the session. Kelly is now into the pits, having RTP'd. It is going to be a chance. Oh, saying that though, Stevie Mack going into the dirt and grass as he overcooks it, going on the throttle into the last chicane. Oh, not the last chicane, the hairpin on the back straight, my mistake. We can see there is Jack Simpson as well. Gladwell has retired formally from the session. We are down to 16 cars, potentially 15, depending on Kelly's presence. The Mack is going to be able to make a recovery, but the pride will certainly be damaged. Just taking a moment with some of the drivers. Things have calmed down in a pretty big way. It has calmed down a lot now. You don't really see many drivers in proximity to each other. Closest you've got is a bit of a backmarker situation with Simpson trying to chase down onto Peter Davidson. The fact that he is lapping Davidson speaks volumes. Final 10 minutes finally upon us. Now looking our way through. Now, I want to take a bit of a moment to appreciate everyone who is driving out there tonight. We do have a bit of an interesting scenario. where nobody is necessarily together. Now, taking things step by step, you've got Simpson, the RAF. You've got Tyrone, who is classified as a civvy. You've got Ryan Worley, also RAF, in the Colonel Cruiser. You've got Jack Lemon, also RAF. Wrenchy, RAF Lightnings, as you can tell from the livery. You've got Liam Davis, who I'm trying to find in the standings, RAF as well. Davidson in the Navy is your sort of next service. So 1 through 6 is an RAF lockout, and Davidson is going to be the one to upset the status quo. Mac is also going to be upsetting that with his entry, so British Army Esports, in the McLaren number 19. And Steele is going to be civvy classified with Craig Fitton, British Army Esports, and currently in P10. Dingo is going to be in P11 for British Army. James Sinclair, trying to find exactly where he is on the standings. I can't actually see him on the standings here. Yeah, I cannot see him on the standings. The new entrant for today. David Brown, meanwhile, in the BMW, is also a Royal Navy driver. Chris Diamond, see if he is on the standings here. And yeah, another driver that I cannot see. But then you have Craig Lewer, who is in the pits right now. Civvy, and Simon Kelly, who is in the RAF. Air Force is indeed quite dominant, but as we watch on through, as he's tailing off on Peter Davidson, Simpson is just on another level. I don't even know where I can verbally begin. It just has been his race, and has been fully in his control from start to finish. Either way, time is of the essence. And the field is going to be soon converging on the start-finish line and the checkered flag. I mean, you look at that rear end, you look at how those exhausts are glowing, you've got to be convinced that there is some magic going on. Looks like we do have Tyrone heading into the pits for a second time. This is due to him getting a drive-through penalty, which he had to serve just now. Crazily, though, with the amount of time that he had built up, he has not had to serve any positions away. Palmer also having an issue. You say we just got confirmed the exact nature of said issue, which is that it didn't get a tyre change. Either due to a binding or a technical issue, was not able to change those tyres whilst in the pits. Yeah, so the pit window is now officially closed. You heard it here first, folks. We are down now to 15 cars, as the session is in its last moments. This is going to realistically mean we have about 3 laps left. 3 laps. Then things come to a head and come to a close. we're going to see Matt Steele going a little bit too deep, teetering on the edge of the grass there. Just able to keep it together. Masterfully controlled. Just able to keep it within those lines. And needed to, because the last thing you want in these last 5 minutes is to lose the car and just drop it. Drop it off the side. Big issue. The last couple of laps. Simpson is going to be on his penultimate. And one thing that stood out to me is that for the drivers that remain, the consistency and the grit shown throughout has been remarkable. I'm really impressed with everyone who stuck it out. I mean, look at Dingo. Dingo had a torrid start to the race. He had a decent beginning position, dropped all the way down to P18, and now just through sticking with it is in P11. That is still a massive bounce back. I mean, you can look at Kelly. The fact that he's still in it 4 pit stops later is going to mean that he technically gained 4 positions just by bringing it home. I mean, there's a lot of other cars who can certainly say that they achieved some heroics here today. Ryan Worley, P8 to P3 right now. What a brilliant piece of driving we have witnessed here from him today in the Colonel Cruiser. Liam Davis on the back of David Wrench, as Wrench seems to be suffering from a bit of damage. Seems to be struggling with that car in terms of raw pace. Davis is actually going to overtake him into the first corner of the final lap, as just confirmed by race control. We also have the likes of Matt Steele, who's gone from P13 to P9. We have Jamie Sinclair, who's gone from P17 to P12. Diamond up to 14th from 18th as well. Means that there's a lot of prideful drivers on the course and a lot of moments that drivers can hold up with almost a badge of honour. I'd sort of think of it as it's, you've made it through this race and you've gained from it as a result. You weathered the storm, you faced the gauntlet, and now you are being rewarded for your efforts. Lemon is going to be very close to Worley, but he's not going to be asserting an attack just yet. Eyes are on, of course, the driver who has had undisputed domination of tonight's racing. It is going to be none other than Jack Simpson. He makes his way around David Wrench, the champion, keep in mind. He's lapping the champion in the penultimate race. What kind of retort can you even bring to that power move? Even so, through the final chicane, up to the line, and through that, Lemon and Worley have actually traded places. We'll check back in with those two in a second, see if Worley gets a counter-attack. But Simpson up and across the line. What a showing, and what an impressive bout of racing between them. Meanwhile, Worley and Lemon, as they go through their final lap here, let's see if there's any kind of counterplay coming out from them. Wrench is going to cross the line, confirming his P6. Davidson just behind in P7. not to be outdone. Stevie Mack will be coming through to the finish line in P8 now. And then that will be closely followed by Matt Steele. Greg Fitton is going to be a little bit further away. Like Dingo has had a major issue though. Looks like he's made contact with Simon Kelly. That is going to potentially bring him down. Hopefully he recovers fairly fast. Well, he's not going to be able to get things going just here. Looks like Liam Davis. Oh no, Davis is going to go back to the pits. I wonder if that's going to affect his finish time. Tyrone just crossing the line now. Meanwhile, further up ahead, the chrome pink Bentley closes and brings it home in P2 and decides to play a little bit of GT3 bowling to celebrate. It is going to be Lemon and Worley coming across, and then final car to make his way to the line. It's going to be David Brown as Davis is down in P5. Lemon Juice has beaten Chicken Nuggets this day, and with the session now at its close, we see the last car making its way to the line. And there is your order, folks. Now going through and finishing up. Looks like, due to Davis going into the pits, this has introduced a bit of a bug. But the session is done. There we go. There we go. So, we did have to say goodbye to Palmer, Fury, Diamond Lure and Gladwell. But it was a brilliant show out there today. And a session to remember. So, folks, there you have it. Apologies if my camera is a little bit laggy today, but it's been a brilliant race. It's certainly been something special. I've enjoyed every moment of it, and I hope you have as well. But all roads have to have an ending. And unfortunately for us here, this is the penultimate round. We do have a finale in Mount Panorama, and you won't want to miss it, folks. I think, even with the championship being wrapped up, this is going to be a very special race to commemorate the end of an amazing season. So from myself, from the folks over at Driveline, bringing you the broadcast, from the guys over at Royal Air Force Esports organising, and for all of the other armed forces and services participating in this championship, civvies and vets alike, thank you everyone for watching. We will see you at the same time next week for the finale round of the UKAF ACC Championship. And from myself, for now anyway, it is goodbye. Thank you once again. See you soon.